Okay, hello everybody. I want to share a dream that I had the other day. Now let's see. Real quick. Real quick. This was on the 23rd. The 23rd. I'm just going to read it. Okay, I had a dream about a monumentous worldwide earthquake or earthquakes and more. It was earthquakes, but and more than earthquakes. More things than just earthquakes were happening, man. It was more than an earthquake. I had tried to describe it, but I don't know why I would have had to tell anyone, because seems like they would have felt it too. But for some reason I was trying to describe this thing. But anyway, we were passing by this guy who was describing it also. And he said, as if at the same time, he said it as if he was saying at the same time I was trying to describe it. Okay. He said that it was like someone grabbed the earth and shook it. I said, yes. It was like I was trying to describe it, and he said it was like somebody grabbed the earth and shook it. I was like, yes. Like that's what I was trying to say. It was like he took the words right out of my mouth. This was, I think, the first part of the dream I wrote right before this about me and the wonderful protective guy who actually reminded me of a certain person that I know I won't mention the name. Okay. Then he walked me to the old apartment. Everything looked very run down. And I think he was going to work anyway. So I was walking with this guy, and I was married to him, and I was trying to tell him about the earthquake. I was trying to talk about this earthquake. It was terrible. I can't even describe it. It was terrible. It was as if somebody literally took the earth like this and shook it. Everything was messed up. Everything was off. Everything was out of alignment. Nothing was right. It was all of nature. So that's the best way that I can really describe it. Okay. So before that part, this is what happened. It says, me and a man that was like my husband were in a very strange situation. It was the very cusp of the end of the world, like maybe a year or so left. I just wrote that down because that's how it felt. But no, we don't know. We don't know the timing of anything. So don't count on it being a long time. And don't think you're going to be out of here tomorrow either. Prepare to endure, but also be prepared at any time to go. So he was about to go out to something very necessary. That's why I said I think it was like he was going to work. And I was going to stay behind somewhere safe that he provided. That kind of sounds like God too. He was walking me to the place. I said, I'm kind of scared. I'm kind of scared for you to leave me here. Okay, without saying anything else, he was holding my hand and took me to this apartment and was going to comfort me before he left. I knew he was really on a tight time schedule, but he was doing all this without saying anything. He just came in with me. Let's see. This apartment was really like someplace I normally would not like to stay. Like, because everything was run down. Everything everywhere was run down, really. But when he was leaving, I was saying to myself, like once he brought me into the apartment, I remember I went to go use the bathroom. And I was thinking, well, whatever he provides, I know it's his best. I know it's the best. So whatever we go through in this time where we're waiting, this is the very best for us. God, he will not withhold any good thing from us. If you're in a situation of suffering, know that it is necessary and purposed. Like how Jesus went to the cross. It was what was necessary. Our salvation could not have been accomplished any other way. And Joseph had to go through that process of being betrayed by his brothers, abandoned in a well or in a pit, sold into slavery, falsely accused, imprisoned. He had to go through all of that in order to be prepared for what he eventually did, which was no less than to save all of Egypt and the promise that Abraham was given. Because if all the Hebrews had perished in Jacob when they were in Canaan through the famine, then where would the promise of Christ be? How would the salvation of all mankind from sin be accomplished? So there's nothing that we're going through that is not weighed out and measured and necessary. So I was determined that, even though I was used to living in a certain way, that I would stay wherever my husband provided. Wherever he left me, I knew that it was the best that he could possibly do in that moment. And that that if there were any better, he would have given it to me. So anyway, shaking. And I'm going to read a scripture. I hope everybody did well in the Bible in the fast and was blessed. Okay, so this is Isaiah chapter 2. And I'm going to read this and I'm going to go. The word that Isaiah the son of Amos saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow into it. And many people shall go and say, Come, and let us go up to the mount of the Lord, to the house of God, to the house of the God of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. And he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. Now, this is not, what I'm reading about right now is not before the coming of God, before the coming of Jesus Christ, the second coming. This is after the second coming. Okay. Verse 5 says, O house of Jacob, come ye, let us walk in the light of the Lord. Therefore thou hast forsaken thy people, the house of Jacob, because they be replenished from the east, and are soothsayers like the Philistines, and they please themselves in the children of strangers. Not only did the children of Israel do this, now the church of the Gentiles has done this as well. The fullness of the Gentiles is complete. And we, as the church, Christianity, has done this too. So it says, therefore thou hast forsaken thy people, the house of Jacob, and the church too. Not the real church, but this Christian thing that people are doing, calling themselves Christians, but only with their mouth. Everything that was written about the abominations of the Jews, about the betrayal of Christ, about the ignoring of God's ways, the church of the Gentiles has done as well. Therefore, thou hast forsaken thy people. Okay, verse 7. Their land also is full of silver and gold. Neither is there any end of their treasure. Their land is also full of horses. Neither is there any end of their chariots. Cars on top of cars until we got traffic jams. And their land is also full of idols. They work celebrities, all manner of idols. They worship the work of their own hands, that which their own fingers have made. iPhones, iPads, you name it. The mean man boweth down, and the great man humbleth himself. Therefore forgive them not. That refers to bowing down to false gods and idols. Enter into the rock, and hide thee in the dust, for the fear of the Lord, for the glory of his majesty. The lofty looks of man shall be humbled, and the haughtiness of men shall be bowed down. And the Lord alone shall be exalted in that day. For the day of the Lord of hosts shall be upon every one that is proud and lofty, and upon every one that is lifted up, every one that is lifted up. And he shall be brought low, and upon all the cedars of Lebanon that are high and lifted up, and upon all the oaks of Bashan, and upon all the high mountains, and upon all hills that are lifted up, and upon every high tower, all your skyscrapers, and upon every fenced wall, and upon all the ships of Tarshish, and upon all pleasant pictures. And the loftiness of man shall be bowed down, and the haughtiness of men shall be made low. You get Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Fauci, Biden, Obama, he ain't nothing but a man. Francis, the head of the Catholic Church, and all the ungodly, horrible things that he says against the Lord, against the truth, against the scriptures, all going to be brought low. The haughtiness of men shall be made low, and the Lord alone shall be exalted in that day. And the idols shall he utterly abolish. And they shall go into the holes of the rocks and into the caves of the earth for fear of the Lord and for the glory of his majesty when he ariseth to shake terribly the earth. In that day a man shall cast his idols of silver and his idols of gold, which they made each one for himself to worship, to the moles and to the bats. Go into the clefts of the rocks and into the tops of the ragged rocks for the fear of the Lord and for the glory of his majesty, when he ariseth to shake terribly the earth. Cease from man, whose breath is in his nostrils, for wherein is he to be accounted of? Search the scriptures. Get on your knees. Establish your personal relationship with Christ, so that in that day he doesn't say, I don't know you. I never knew you. Get to know him. All right. That's it. God bless.